Thank you very much, Mary. And just want to say good morning to all of you. It's impressive to see such a big gathering here this morning. And the first thing I want to do is to convey the apologies of my Minister, Sean Sherlock TD, who unfortunately is unable to be with us here this morning. But I want to say on my own behalf that I'm very happy to have the chance to participate at this roundtable event on post-2015, which has been organised by the National Youth Council of Ireland. The Council is a valued partner of Ireland Aid as it works to help young people like yourselves to develop the skills and confidence to fully participate as active citizens in an inclusive society. As Valerie has said, and you're going to hear this very often today, 2015 is seen by many as a truly critical phase of human development because this year the nations of the world have engaged in a number of processes of negotiations of immense and interrelated importance. The UN's post-2015 development agenda, financing for development and climate change. The EU, as Valerie has pointed out, has further highlighted the importance of this year by designating 2015 as the European Year of Development. And the post-2015 development agenda refers to a process led by the UN that aims to define the future global development framework that will succeed the UN Millennium Development Goals, a set of 8 development targets which come to an end in 2015. At the heart of the new global agenda will be a set of new sustainable development goals to steer the course of development beyond the year 2015. If implemented, this agenda can therefore have an incredibly positive impact on the lives of millions of young people. At the same time, there is also perhaps no more important constituency for ensuring the success of the post-2000 agenda than young people yourselves. We recognise the extent of the challenges involved in getting 193 countries to agree goals and targets in such a wide range of areas. This has never been attempted before and will be a huge achievement for humanity if successful. We are very proud of Ireland's appointment, together with Kenya, as one of 2 co-facilitators of the negotiations on the post-2015 UN Development Agenda. Their task is to bring those intergovernmental negotiations to a successful outcome and to come up with a transformative agenda that will shape a world where no one is left behind. Even prior to our appointment as co-facilitator, Ireland had already played a significant role in bringing us some way along this journey, with EU Council conclusions agreed during Ireland's presidency of the EU and co-facilitating an agreement of an outcome document for the UN Millennium Development Goals special event. We also played an active role in the Open Working Group on Sustainable Development Goals that presented a proposal for goals and targets in July of last year. As mentioned earlier, 2015 will also see new global agreement on how to finance these Sustainable Development Goals at the Financing for Development Conference in Addis Ababa in July. Securing a legally binding climate change agreement will be a critical achievement. The effects of climate change have already negatively affected the lives of millions of people in the world, from small farmers in Africa to those in the small island states of the Pacific who are literally on the front line of the effects of climate change. If we fail to act quickly and radically, we are on a course to make our planet uninhabitable for vast numbers of people, with all the consequent risks of social problems and conflict. Our challenge this year, if we are to succeed in shaping a new and transformative agenda, will be to ensure that all of these processes are coherent and mutually supportive. The choices that will be made by the end of the year in relation to these processes will have a real impact on this and future generations. Our political leaders are presented with a unique opportunity to address the most urgent and fundamental needs of millions of people around the world, people who have the right and seek the means and freedom to live their lives in dignity. And it is up to all of us, whether we're elected representatives, NGO workers, students, activists, or just concerned citizens, to make sure that the governments who represent us conduct these multilateral negotiations in a way that leads to an outcome that will make a difference. Although the incidence of global poverty has been declining, the truth is that the decline varies considerably between and within regions. The overall welcome improvements in human development indicators should not blind us to the continued decline and much suffering in many parts of the world, including in parts that we consider to be affluent and economically successful. More and more people are faced with the effects of the inequality, not only between the developing and developed worlds, but increasingly within societies everywhere, including our own. Oxfam has highlighted that in 2013, 7 out of 10 people lived in countries where economic inequality was worse than 30 years ago, and in 2014 that just 85 people owned as much wealth as the poorest half of humanity. In fact, according to Oxfam, it is likely that by 2016, the wealthiest, and 2016 is only next year, the wealthiest 1% will own more than half of global wealth. Most recently, the World Economic Forum has made the point that income inequality could be considered as the biggest risk to world development in 2015. In fact, we are moving towards a world where the gap between the rich and poor in developed and developing countries alike is becoming almost impossible to close. The big question for all of us is whether this is the type of world we wish to live in. And I'm glad to say that the 193 member states of the UN, including Ireland, have answered that question with a resounding no. While there are immense challenges ahead, we cannot afford to fail. The work to pave the way for successful outcomes has been underway for over 2 years now. As well as agreeing on a new set of sustainable development goals and on the means of financing them, we also need to agree on indicators and targets to measure and monitor progress in implementation. This work has been carried out in a framework of unprecedented openness and transparency and has incorporated the views of civil society, academia, research institutions and the private sector. Ireland has consistently pushed to ensure the full involvement of civil society in this process at the UN level. The voice of youth has also been sought and is being heard. As part of the work of the UN system, youth-led organisations and others, young people have been at the heart of what has been and will continue to be a truly open and participatory process. And the message from young people has been communicated very clearly. The post-2015 agenda must put inclusive youth-led development at its core. At last autumn's General Assembly of the UN, our Minister for Foreign Affairs, Mr. Charlie Flanagan TD, personally brought to the attention of both the UN Secretary-General and world leaders the views of Irish youth that had been conveyed to him for that purpose. There is much to be done in a short time frame. The deadlines for all of these negotiations are very tight. The Financing for Development agenda will be adopted in July. The post-2015 Sustainable Agenda at a special summit on sustainable development in New York next September. The new Climate Change Global Agreement, for its part, is due to be signed in Paris in December 2015. Of course, the SDGs and the climate change process are deeply interconnected. Recent years have seen the food security and livelihoods of millions of men, women and children seriously undermined by unusually severe floods, droughts and rises in sea levels. It is becoming increasingly obvious that the effects of extreme weather events threaten the effective enjoyment of a range of basic human rights, such as the right to safe water and food and the right to health and adequate housing. All of these issues have a huge resonance for us in Ireland, given our own past and our historical experience of famine, deprivation and emigration. The desire to show solidarity with those suffering from poverty and exclusion is a core part of our values as a country and a people and defines our approach to international development cooperation. Irish people have traditionally given aid because we believe it is right for us to help those people who are less well off than we are. The Irish people have always taken a keen interest in global affairs and particularly in helping those in poorer countries. The most recent Eurobarometer survey shows that 87% of Irish people believe helping people in developing countries is important, with 77% believing this contributes to a more peaceful and equal world. This is clearly not an abstract ideal either. 62% are personally involved in assisting developing countries either through charitable donations, volunteering or political and social activism. This level of engagement is is testament to our strong values of compassion and social justice. It is also a reflection of the important role played by Irish civil society, such as yourselves, who have been instrumental in both delivering this assistance and in promoting informed debate on global development issues. The National Youth Council has played an important role in the latter regard. Ireland's current overseas development policy, One World, One Future, continues to be firmly rooted in these values, though it also clearly recognises that the solutions to poverty and hunger go beyond aid. Likewise, Ireland's foreign policy review places a strong emphasis on our values as a people and our actions, including through our aid programme, Irish Aid, to build a fairer, more just, more secure and more sustainable world. You can all be proud of our aid programme, because Irish Aid is the Irish people's programme, your aid programme, and it is only through your support that it will continue. The challenges facing us are indeed great, but the huge progress already made in tackling poverty and hunger show that we can make a difference. The last 2 decades have seen remarkable changes in the world, with the number of people living in extreme poverty halved. Further progress is possible, but it will require collective action. Individual citizens must engage in social and political debate. Civil society must increasingly work together in a spirit of cooperation rather than competition towards our common goals, and governments and multilateral institutions like the EU and UN must listen and work in the best interests of their citizens. By coming together today and voicing our support for a better and fairer world, we signal our desire to be part of this movement. On a practical level, you can contribute by making better choices as a consumer, buying locally produced or fair trade sustainable products with minimal packaging, by choosing to support companies that have ethical and sustainable practices, conserving energy use, by caring for your environment, by supporting local and international organisations who campaign for environmental sustainability and social justice, by learning about development issues and your own aid programme, Irish Aid, and sharing this knowledge with others. You can challenge myths and inaccuracies around development in our aid programme and engage in constructive debate on how to improve the world. You can also challenge myths and inaccuracies around climate change, particularly those who deny its very existence. And you can also complete my world survey, which it would be extremely useful. We can all be confident because of people like you, engaged citizens who do not accept the status quo, who are alarmed by growing inequality and environmental degradation, and who demand change. We need you to continue to raise your voices and to encourage other young people to join you if we are to build a better world. That is why I am very pleased that the National Youth Council of Ireland has decided to organise today's roundtable event. It's a wonderful opportunity for young people like you to engage in issues of global importance, and a wonderful asset for the world to have engaged and informed young people demanding change. The decisions we make today will shape your future. I wish you every success with today's discussions and hope you will stay engaged in development issues for years and decades to come. Thank you very much.